Good morning, everyone. I am Montgomery County Council President Gabe Albornoz, and it is such a privilege and honor to be here this morning with United States Senator Ben Cardin. Senator Cardin has been a great friend to Montgomery County and, of course, our entire state, and his steadfast leadership through his service, not just on the national level, but to our state as well, has been nothing short of exemplary. His humble wisdom, his strength has gotten our nation through some difficult times, and that leadership was paramount as we fought the pandemic these last 2 years, just terrible turmoil at the national level, and now national unrest and world unrest with the looming war. And of course, we have yet another contentious Supreme Court nomination with an extraordinary candidate that we're all very proud of. And we look forward to hearing updates from Senator Cardin this morning. Just some quick updates with regards to the county, Senator. If you did a state of the county, I would say we are in good status. Our COVID numbers continue to go down. Our school systems have, of course, fully reopened and no longer are requiring masks. And we are even having our 4th of July fireworks celebrations this summer, which is a good sign that things are getting back to normal. The county executive recently released his budget to the county council, which, thanks to our partnership with the federal government, has put the county in an infinitely better position than we ever thought we would have been at the beginning of the pandemic. We have been able to address social safety issues, infrastructure issues, and much more, but we continue to need our nation's help to address the ongoing fallout as a result of the pandemic and the tenuous circumstances we find ourselves in through recovery. But we so appreciate you being here this morning, Senator. You have our utmost respect and deepest appreciation. And we also want to thank you for Kenny Reichert, who does an absolutely outstanding job representing you and all of our constituents every day. He is basically like the 10th council member in many ways. And we so appreciate and respect his support and guidance through so many different complicated issues. So with that, Senator Cardin, I will turn it over to you to make some opening comments. And then colleagues, please text me if you would like to ask the senator questions. We are going to go until 10:30 this morning. Senator, I humbly turn it over to you.
Well, Gabe, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to chat with the council. I greatly admire your work, the work of the council. It is a challenge. We know that. You are the front line, and we know that during normal times it's challenging, but during COVID-19 we've all been tested. So congratulations to the council for the incredible work. Thanks for mentioning Ken. Ken Reichert has been such an incredibly important part of our Senate team, and I am proud of what he does in the bridge to the people of Montgomery County in regards to our Senate office. So thank you, Ken, for everything that you do.
Thank you.
I want to also just point out Team Maryland. We have a great federal team. Chris Van Hollen, the two of us, we confer every day, and we have a strategy that we develop using all of our positions on committees and our House members to leverage everything we can to help the people of the state of Maryland and Montgomery County. So Chris is doing a fabulous job. His work on the Appropriations Committee, his work on the Banking Committee that deals with transit, his work on foreign relations, both of us are on that. We'll talk just briefly about Ukraine. So it's great to have him as my partner. And then your other three are all leaders in the House of Representatives. John Sarbanes, it's his bill that we need to get passed to protect voting rights in this country. He's the author of it. Jamie Raskin, I don't need to say more. Where he stood up for democracy, stood up for our values, stood up against the most powerful interests. And David Trone, who has brought common sense approach to trying to deal with our economic issues, and successfully, as a young member of the House of Representatives, has had a tremendous impact on so many bills that have worked their way through as part of our economic strategies and our healthcare strategies for our country. So we have a great team, Maryland. We work with your county exec, we work with the council, we work with your state legislative team. And I think as a result of that, we've been able to get some significant results. I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm actually at home this morning. I hope Myrna will pick up the phone, so we'll see what happens with the ring there. Let me start with the two issues that have been the most challenging that we're facing right now. One is Ukraine. The unprovoked attack by Mr. Putin into Ukraine shocked the world. Didn't surprise us. This is what Mr. Putin's been doing and designing for a long time when he invaded Moldova and Georgia and Ukraine earlier. He uses an asymmetric arsenal, including misinformation and his military and financing trouble in every country he can, using cyber as he used against our country in the 2016 elections. So we know what he does, but this was brazen. This was beyond the pale. What he has done, he has targeted civilian populations. He's using cluster bombs. He's now threatening to use chemical and nuclear weapons. He's a war criminal. Make no mistake about it. We are so proud and so inspired by the leadership of President Zelensky and the courage of the people of Ukraine. And I know that President Biden announced yesterday with the NATO alliance additional sanctions and additional support, but we're going to do everything we can. I'm frequently asked as I talk to people in Maryland what they can do. And I can tell you, we have unity with the Ukrainian people, and with President Zelensky, we're going to do everything we possibly can in providing defensive lethal weapons and humanitarian assistance and additional sanctions. We have a bill I hope we can pass early next week to take Russia off of our normal trade relations and to make the Magnitsky Statute permanent. So we are continuing to move forward. The other issue that is critically important is the Supreme Court nominee that you mentioned, Judge Jackson. She did just a superb. First of all, she's superbly qualified. She has served on the district court, served on the appellate court, served on the sentencing commission. I chaired her hearing on the sentencing commission. Her qualifications are incredible, but the way she handled herself during the hearing, which just shows you that she has the judicial temperament, and I think the talent to really work with the other members of the Supreme Court to hopefully bring about more stability in the rulings of the Supreme Court and more traditional in expanding the rights of individuals and not the special interests. So I'm very excited about her nomination. She will be confirmed within the next 2 weeks. So we're very optimistic that she'll be entering the Supreme Court. So President Biden's priorities are our priorities. First, to restore America's global leadership. He's done that with the Ukrainian crisis. He not only was able to act, he was able to get unity globally against Russia. Secondly, to get COVID under control. And I must tell you, if you think back a year ago where we started, year 2 months ago, and where we are today, we've made tremendous progress under President Biden's leadership. Particularly with the passage of the American Rescue Plan, which I'll talk about just very briefly. And then to rebuild our country to be a fairer country and a more competitive country. And he's made great strides in that direction as well. So in the American Rescue Plan, as you already noted, there was a tremendous help for state and local government. But let me also point out, we helped American families. We helped to deal with COVID-19. We helped renters. We helped homeowners. We helped deal with a lot of the urgent problems that families had. But for Montgomery County, in that bill alone, you received over $200 million, pretty much general funds that you could use. It had to be directed, but it was pretty flexible as to how those funds could be used. And when you total that up with the money that went to municipalities, you total it up with the other aid, Montgomery County has received in total about $442 million in COVID relief. And when you add to that $389 million that you received for your Department of Education, we really did want to make sure that you could provide the essential services. And it worked. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to meet with Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, just to go over the status of our economy. He's up for renomination. He's going to be reconfirmed. But the underpinnings of our economy are extremely strong. Doesn't mean families aren't suffering. They are suffering. They're suffering for high costs, inflation. We've got to get that under control. And that's as a result of supply chain, the war in Ukraine, and COVID-19 and dealing with some of the labor issues. And we need to get that under control, but the underpinnings of our economy are strong as a result of what we were able to do to keep state and local government functioning, to keep small businesses functioning, to keep our economy moving. So we also passed, as you know, the infrastructure bill, $1.2 trillion. I'm very proud of that. Maryland will receive over $4 billion for roads and bridges alone, close to $2 billion in transit funds. We have money for WMATA, reauthorizing that so that we have a predictable funding source. We have $30 billion for the Northeast Corridor of Amtrak, which is critically important. I know you're going to want to talk about transportation issues, and I'm prepared to be your partner in everything we can possibly do. Most of the monies are formula funds. I think about 90% are formula funds. They go directly to the state for allocation. So it's your battle is really in Annapolis, not in D.C. and not in Washington, as it relates to the individual decisions that are made. We will decide the size of the pot of funds available, but then it's usually goes through the state priority selection process. I am very proud that I increased the Transportation Alternative Program. That was the program that I created to let local governments have more control. Those funds are more flexible to you, and those funds are available. And that's what you use for your pedestrian and bike paths, for your safety enhancements, for your neighborhood funds, which are always critically important. We were also able to deal in the infrastructure bill with the climate issue, with electrifying our transportation fleet by infrastructure. And we're very proud of that. It's the first time in an infrastructure bill we have a climate section. Broadband, $100 million, at least $100 million is coming to the state for broadband. Water, get lead out of the pipes and resiliency in our water infrastructure. We were able to get $238 million in the infrastructure bill for the Chesapeake Bay program. I'll take a little bit of credit for that. I serve as chair of the Infrastructure Subcommittee and Environment and Public Works Committee, so I helped create the architect for the infrastructure bill. I have a great partner in that, and Shelley Capito, the senator from West Virginia, and the two of us worked to get money in there for the Chesapeake Bay. So I'm very proud that we were able to get that. We also passed the Omnibus Appropriation bill. That's so important for Montgomery County because that's predictable funding for our federal agencies and our federal workforce. And Montgomery County provides a tremendous service, public service, through your federal installations and facilities that are located in the county and the federal workforce. And we, for the first time, have earmarks. And this was done on the fly because we didn't have a lot of advance time. We were able to get the city of Rockville money for the emergency power generation. We were reaching out, and Mike Thomas of my office will work with Ken Reichert so that if you want to partner, there's certain restrictions on congressional earmarks. They have to be nonprofits or governmental entities, and they're limited in size. But we are already starting the earmark process for the next budget year. I've been directly involved in the small business issues, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about the status of what we're able to do, including getting the Minority Business Development Agency codified in the infrastructure bill, including getting, for the first time now, we have a Veterans Outreach Center located, first one in the state of Maryland for veterans and small businesses, located at College Park. And we're not finished. We have President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. We'll probably call it a different name. It'll be a little bit different than what we started, but we are dealing with issues such as childcare affordability, the climate agenda. Well, we got to get that done. And we have additional issues for small businesses dealing with those in underserved communities, the minority and women-owned small businesses, and also affordability of housing, including the Neighborhood Reinvestment Act that I authored, that is part of the package that will help with affordable housing. You know what the cost of housing is today, and you know that so many people in communities cannot afford that housing. This provides a credit for affordable housing in the community. So there's a lot to talk about, but I just want to just conclude and open it up for discussion to where we started. Under your leadership, Montgomery County is doing extremely well. You have, as I've said many, many times, you embrace diversity as a strength very early. As a result, Montgomery County is looked upon as one of the strongest communities in our country, an area where people want to work and live and raise their families. And I'm proud to represent you in the Senate.
Senator, thank you for that overview. It's extraordinary. I'll kick it off with one question of my own and then turn it over to colleagues, and I'll go over the order, colleagues, when I'm done. So we have recently embarked on a project, Senator, to enhance the quality and quantity of preschool programs here in Montgomery County. We've recently launched a new entity that will serve as a better conduit to establish more public-private partnerships, acknowledging the county government alone is not going to meet the needs of childcare for all of our families. This is an economic issue. This is a moral issue. This is a closing the academic gap issue. And I know in Build Back Better, and I know we're going to call it by a different name, there had been a proposal for that and many other key investments to families, the child tax credit, which has been a game changer for families through the pandemic and needs to move forward. You have been such a leader, and so has the entire Maryland delegation to our federal partners, but we still continue to see some resistance from two of our colleagues on the Democratic side. If it'd be helpful, Senator, to send them a case of Irene's pupusas or some great Asian food from Hollywood East, we'd be happy to do that. But is there anything that you see, a light at the end of the tunnel, a compromise that may be arrived? Because too much is on the line. Such opportunity is before us, and who knows what will happen after the midterm elections. We're all keeping our fingers crossed, but we have to plan for the worst. And so this window, it feels like, is closing. What is your sense in talking to your colleagues on the Senate on breaking through? And is it possible that the global situation in Ukraine, which is so awful, but has unified us in ways that we haven't seen in quite some time, in an odd way, might be a silver lining to making sure we reconcile and stay united to fight fascism around the world and challenges here at home?
Well, thanks for that question. So let me give you first the status of where we are. You're not going to see the infighting you've seen published nationally that we found was very divisive to public support for what we're trying to do. So there are lots of discussions that are taking place, but we're not going to advertise that until we have a bill that we can bring to the floor. As you know, we have 48 senators. We need 50 because this is budget reconciliation. We're not going to get a single Republican vote. That's unfortunate. They should be joining us, but they're not. So they've made that decision. We're not going to get a single Republican. So we have to do this with total unity. As you know, the Senate's 50-50. That gives us no room for error. We were able to get 48 senators who were prepared to go with basically the bill that passed the House of Representatives, which was a comprehensive bill that dealt with every one of the subjects that you just mentioned, plus a lot more. It was paid for. Let me make that clear. It was paid for by reversing some of the outrageous tax cuts for large corporations and wealthy individuals in the 2017 Trump tax bill. That's how we paid for it, plus giving the IRS the tools to make sure that they can enforce our current tax laws so that everybody pays their fair share of taxes, plus holding the pharmaceutical industry accountable for their outrageous pricing and saving taxpayers a lot of money, $300 billion that we saved. That's how we paid for the bill that coming out of the House, one that 48, including your two U.S. senators, supported, but we needed 50. Senator Sinema was opposed to it because of the revenue side, not necessarily the spending side. She did not want us to raise the corporate tax rate, which I find very, very unfortunate. That corporate tax rate needs to be much more reasonable. And by the way, the business community would accept that. That's the strangest thing. They want stability in the rates, and it was a modest increase. I think we were going to go up about 4%, and they were okay with that. It's about $400 billion. It's usually about $100 billion per 1% increase in the corporate tax. But we worked out a different arrangement with Senator Sinema. So we ultimately had her support on the package. It was not as clean as it should have been. It was a little bit smaller, but we had her support. Then it was Senator Manchin, and we could never get Senator Manchin's support. He changed his view over the time. and we could not get his support for the package. We think we have a framework that gives us a shot to move this next month, not this month, but next month. And that would be a smaller package, and one that provides not just an offset, but has deficit reduction as part of it. We have enough revenues to do that. So we think we can come up with a package if Senator Manchin is willing to go for it, as he said he would be, but I would not yet have confidence that we will see him agree to it when we finally get a package together. But that's our game plan. Now, what is likely to be in that package, we don't know, but I can tell you, 2 of the 3 things you mentioned, I think are confident will be in that. That's well, you mentioned one, but I'll mention the second. I think they're part of it. Universal pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds. I think that will be part of the package. It was very popular, and we did not see any objections among the 50 senators. And then affordable childcare, which is also part of the preschool, school programs. And we think both of those will be in a final package if we get to a final package. I'm not as optimistic in regards to the child credits. And I regret that, because that gets families out of poverty. The reason is that we can't, what Senator Manchin will probably insist upon is that whatever we do permanently, and to make the child credit permanent is just beyond the revenues we have available. We just don't have the funds to do that. So I'm not optimistic about the child credits, but I am hopeful that if we can get a package, we can deal with the pre-K and with the affordable child care.
Thank you so much, Senator. There is a light at the end of the tunnel there. I appreciate that. All right, colleagues, going to turn it over to you. We've got about 40 minutes, so I don't think we have to institute the 5-minute rule, but if colleagues could limit their questions to just 1 or 2, I'd appreciate it. We're going to start with Council Vice President Glass, followed by Councilmember Rice, then Councilmember Friedson, then Councilmember Reamer, Councilmember Hucker, and Councilmember Katz. Council Vice President Glass. And colleagues, council members Jawando and Navarro were not able to join us this morning. They send their regrets, but their chiefs of staff are tuning in. Council Vice President Glass.
Well, thank you, President Albornoz. Good morning, Senator. Good morning, Ken. Good to see you all. And Senator, thank you for all the incredible work, and thank you for highlighting the difficulties that you and your colleagues on the Democratic side are dealing with right now. As someone who joined the millions of Americans who watched the Judiciary Committee over the last few days, I'm at a loss for words as what has become of some of our some elected officials from other parts of the country, right? And I'll leave it at that. But turning it back to you and the good work that you and your partner and our Senator Van Hollen have been doing, I just want to elevate something that you didn't include in your opening comments. You talked about all the great work and the COVID relief that has come to us, but I also read about the FY22 Omnibus, and tucked in there are some incredible supports for Montgomery County. Not only the 2.7% increase for federal workers, which are our neighbors, our friends, so many of our constituents, but the modernizing of the IT and telework policies, and then $1.3 billion for NIH, including infrastructure and buildings, recognizing that it was NIH and FDA and the infrastructure that we have here that kept us healthy and safe, that made Montgomery County the most vaxxed place in the country, if not in the universe. And that is a huge testament to the federal supports and your continued support for NIH, and also money for FDA and the campus there. And so my question is, I've also seen comments that you and colleagues have been talking about a second or third COVID package, however we want to count it. And I'm curious what the status of that might be, again, knowing the dynamics in the Senate. But I think from what I've been hearing from you in public statements, that you're on the right path of recognizing we're not out of it just yet, and that there are a lot of businesses, small businesses, and renters who are very concerned and remain on the edge. And so I'm just curious, from your perspective, what do you think is possible with regard to another COVID package from the federal government?
Well, Evan, first of all, thanks for that question, and thank you for mentioning the omnibus as it affects federal agencies and the federal workforce. There's no higher priority we have in that regards. Of course, Senator Van Hollen serves on the Appropriations Committee, so he's been watching that very, very closely. We have been laser focused on the needs of each of our agencies. I have regular meetings with the leadership at NIH, at NIST, at FDA, at Walter Reed. We meet regularly as to what their needs are from both capital and personnel and IT, and we provide that priority. So one of the things I do at the beginning of each cycle on appropriations is I meet with the appropriations staff as the senior senator and give the priorities, and each of those agencies are their priorities become our priorities. So we were extremely pleased that in this omnibus we were able to get that type of support. You asked. I'm sorry. You asked specifically about the
another round of COVID.
COVID, yeah.
COVID funding.
Thanks for asking that, because we had a meeting this week. I want you to know this is urgent. This is at a crisis level that Congress needs to pass the next level of COVID. This is not a luxury. We had it passed. It was in the House of Representatives in the omnibus along with the funds for Ukraine. And because we couldn't get the support of the Republicans without an offset, even though this is emergency funding, we had to ultimately pull it from the package and do it as a separate bill. And it has controversy because of the offsets, and we're not sure we can get it done now. But when I say it's in crisis, it's urgent, let me just tell you that by June, we will run out of money in being able to make sure that we have the therapeutics in this country that we need to keep people healthy. Remember, the therapeutics are basically bought by the federal government. These are not, Medicare can't cover this because it's under emergency use. So therefore, only the government can supply to many of our people. And we have enough supply, so there's not an immediate challenge. But by June, we'll run into a problem on having enough therapeutics. There are 2 billion people around the world that are not vaccinated. We need to provide, the total numbers are probably around 10 to 15 billion alone in international vaccinations in order to protect not only the world, but protect ourselves. That has to be spent. We got to develop the next rounds of vaccines. We don't know whether one of these variants, how it will respond to the current vaccines. So we have to continue our research. We have to have the supplies on hand. We don't want to be caught short. And there's a limit to how much we can keep without additional funding. So the administration is seeking $22 billion in funds. That, by the way, will only get us to the fall. That doesn't get us through the full year. That gets us till September. We probably need closer to around $30 billion in order to get us till October 1, the beginning of the next fiscal year. So we need to get that done. And it is on the top of our list, and we're currently working to try to get acceptable offsets. Now, in addition to that, I'm working to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, in which we had certain restaurants that were able to get their money and others were not. This is not the first time that we've had run out of money in a COVID-related package. We supplied several $100 billion replenishment, 100 billions, this is 300 billion, without offsets for the Paycheck Protection Program. And we need about $48 billion to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund to deal with related companies. And we have bipartisan support, and we're going to try to add that to the COVID relief package. So I appreciate you asking that question. It is an urgent issue. I do think we will take it up during the month of April. We really need to get this done so we don't run the risk of people who need these therapeutics not being able to get them. They work. The therapeutics are really work well, but we got to have them. And if the government doesn't buy them, they're not going to be there.
Thank you for that. And as we are, on the ground here in the county, we're hearing from business owners and from constituents who are optimistic but are also anxious about what may come. And I appreciate you sharing the urgency, and look forward to hearing more as you work through those processes. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you so much, Council Vice President Glass. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Senator, for all of your support when it comes to kids. So I want to stay on that theme because, as you know all too well, one of the unfortunate things that is set to expire is the USD waiver for child nutrition on June 30th. And we all know that when it comes to the well-being of our children, healthy meals is a key part of it. In fact, it was one of the very first supplemental appropriations that this council passed when the pandemic first hit and when our schools closed, that we decided to put money, more money, additional millions of dollars in to help support our farm to food bank, as well as groceries for some of our folks that were struggling, as well as ensuring that MANA, Capillary Food Bank, and others had all of the things they needed to provide weekend backpack meals, additional grab-and-go meals for our kids and our families. And so from that perspective, Senator, what is your thought when it comes to these waivers? Obviously, we're looking for the waiver to extend through the 2022-2023 school year. But in fact, this is something that we've seen is kind of a no-brainer now, which is that children and families shouldn't have to figure out whether or not they're going to get a meal when they go to school because they filled out a form correctly, or because today they're eligible and tomorrow they're not because mom or dad may have gotten a little bit of a better job. The reality is that these families deserve to be able to send their children to school and to make sure that the only thing that they need to focus on is their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, not worrying about where their next meal is going to come from. And so I'm just curious as to your thoughts as to where the rest of your colleagues are. I know that our folks locally, because I've talked to each and every one of them, are in full support. But where do you think folks are across the nation, and what can we do to help try and push this forward?
Well, thanks for that question. You're right on target as to what we need to do. We need to do two things. First, we need to extend the waiver. Senator Van Hollen and I have requested the administration to extend this waiver. I think it's 6 months. We're asking for the emergency authority to extend the waiver to the end of the year. And that has been, we've been joined by many other senators in that request, mostly Democrats. I'm not sure how many Republicans have joined us in this. The Republicans are taking the position that COVID is over, and therefore the emergency authority should come to an end. So that's why we have to work on a dual track. Track one is to extend the waiver. And I'm hopeful that the Biden administration will do exactly that. But the second part of this is to enact permanent changes so that we don't have to have a waiver in these circumstances. And we are working to pass such legislation. The problem is in the Senate, because of our arcane filibuster rules that should be radically changed. That Senator Van Hollen and I both support changes, and we could talk about election reform and how we were unable to get protection of the basic democratic principles of free and fair elections in this country because we couldn't get a single Republican to join us, and we couldn't get the 50 votes we needed to change the rules. But we do need to enact permanent legislation from the experiences of COVID-19. It's not just nutrition in our schools. It's also such things as telehealth, something that has really become a very important tool for access to healthcare in this country, much more cost effective. But our rules we're operating today are mostly under emergency coming from COVID-19. We need to make them permanent. Here, I'm pleased to say that we have some bipartisan support to do that. I'm one of the co-leaders in trying to make the telehealth provisions permanent, but we need to do the same thing with child nutrition.
Well, Senator, I can't thank you enough, and really just want to applaud you and Senator Van Hollen and so many of our congressmen who have made this an issue. I mean, the reality is that childhood hunger is actually solvable, and it is something that we can fix if we devote, and the time is now. I mean, we have seen the challenges when it comes to unhealthy populations and their then susceptibility to things like COVID. But the reality is that we saw this well before COVID. And we saw health disparities that continue to exist in our communities of color and communities of lower socioeconomic status. So I really appreciate your support, sir, again. And, we will do everything we can. I'm on the National Association of Counties Human Services and Education Committee. So I'm looking forward to working with you, hopefully with the Hunger Summit that will be later on this fall. We can really rise this to the level that it needs to be, where folks understand this isn't a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a societal issue. This is something where if our values are that we care about our kids and want to make sure that they can really be solely focused on what they need to be focused on, which is doing well in school, we can actually make this happen and really make these simple changes. So I really appreciate your support, sir. Thank you.
Good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Friedson.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoy these sessions that we get to have with you, Senator, and with Senator Van Hollen. It's a reminder that as we watch some of the things in Washington on television that can sometimes be discouraging, how lucky we are to have two of the best senators, the best public servants in the room, and to advocate on behalf of our county and communities and on behalf of the values that I think are American values, not just Montgomery County values. And we talked a little bit today about your lifelong advocacy and successful efforts on transportation and housing and education and children and childcare. One thing you didn't mention, but I'm particularly grateful for, is your lifelong pursuit of combating anti-Semitism domestically and across the globe, and express my appreciation for that. Our community recognizes that, we know that, and we appreciate that. And I wanted to particularly focus in and build on the some of the conversations we're having with Councilmember Glass about the next steps for COVID relief, and specifically hone in on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund that you've been a real leader on as the small business chair in the Senate and a great advocate for small businesses. As you know, $28 billion went very quickly. I think there were almost 200,000 small businesses across the country that were eligible, that were not able to access those funds for a variety of reasons. By the time those changes that were needed were made, it was too late and the funds were depleted. And I know you've been pushing. There was a bipartisan effort. There was a hope for it to be an omnibus bill, and those efforts seem to have fallen short. And I know you're committed to figuring out another path forward for these businesses who are still struggling. All the issues that you mentioned in the economy are hitting restaurants particularly hard, and have been hitting these local small businesses particularly hard since the onset of COVID. So I just wanted to hear from you of what that looks like, what your level of optimism is, and how you see the path forward, and how we can help support your incredible leadership on these issues.
Well, thank you so much for that question and for your comments. I don't know I can give you a great deal of optimism, but let me tell you where we are on it. You're right, it is bipartisan. My partner on this is Roger Wicker, senator from Mississippi, a Republican and a conservative. The two of us have partnered in regards to the Restaurant Revitalization Fund replenishment. It's a bill that I authored many months ago when it became obvious, as you pointed out, that there was not enough funds in the legislation that was included in the end of the year actually end of the year, or the rescue plan, to help restaurants because they were shuttered during the pandemic. It was complicated because there was a court suit that prevented the SBA from administering it as Congress had intended, which was to allow those that are most distressed to be first in line. The courts held that to be improper, and there was some confusion on it. And as a result, some people who were in line early enough to get the money were denied the money, and many people were shut out because they closed the window after just a couple weeks. So we have two restaurants side by side in the exact same circumstances, where one restaurant got the money and the other did not. That's absolutely wrong. So immediately, I joined with Senator Wicker to introduce legislation to replenish the funds. That's, as I said earlier, is not unusual. When we passed the Paycheck Protection Program in March of 2020, we provided a couple $100 billion. In reality, we needed closer to $600 billion for the initial round. So we replenished it with over $300 billion more, and there were no offsets because that was part of the emergency funding. This funding was emergency funding also, so to replenish it, it should not require offsets. We are running into problems with Republicans because of offsets, but Senator Wicker is with me that we shouldn't have to have offsets. I went to the floor for a unanimous consent to get this done quickly. One senator blocked it. Senator Paul from Kentucky blocked it at that time. Otherwise, it would have been done. In the Omnibus, we worked to have it included. I had the strong support of Senator Schumer. It was blocked by Senator McConnell. He blocked it from getting into the Omnibus. So we are now looking at two other ways to get this done. One is what Evan was talking about, and that is the COVID relief package that we hope to have on the floor, perhaps as a separate bill to include the revitalization of the Restaurant Revitalization Fund in that legislation. The second is in budget reconciliation, which I talked about a little bit earlier. We have enough offsets in that bill. We should be able to include it in that bill. So they're the two vehicles we're looking for. I might tell you we have a coalition. It includes more than just restaurants. It includes some other related industries that were shuttered as well. So we have a coalition together pushing very hard to get it included. We even have some offsets in regards to the small business programs that we can include in it. So we have a game plan to get it done. But when you ask how optimistic I am about it, knowing the obstacles that have been put in our way, and being perfectly frank about this, we don't have the enthusiastic help of the administration on this. So I'm not overly optimistic that we're going to get it done, but we have a game plan to try to win this issue.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your leadership, and let us know what we can do to help you, because we know how important it is for the restaurants in our community and in communities across the country. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer, followed by Councilmember Hooker, I think Councilmember Katz.
Senator, it is such a pleasure to be able to hear you. Each time you come to this council, you just dazzle me with your depth and your breadth, and to be able to talk as cogently about European, national security crises as pandemic assistance is makes us all feel so well represented. So really grateful for that. And I really want to express my great appreciation for the work of the Democratic leadership in the Senate on pandemic emergency relief. If it had not been for the work and the funding that you provided, I continue to believe our community over the past several years, we would have been tearing at each other's throats, because there would have been huge evictions and massive arrears. We still have arrears, but we haven't had evictions. Businesses would have been going out of business left and right. Some have, but many, many more have been saved. We've been able to provide cash assistance, food security, of course, health services, vaccination clinics, all aspects of the local health response, bus service, federally funded, your unemployment assistance, one of the most profound evolutions of social insurance in decades. The COVID unemployment bump, all of that has combined, as you said, nearly $1 billion, I think, in this county to keep us stable, and also to provide, by allowing us to save our resources. Our reserves are solid. Our long-term employee benefits fund, although the executive has proposed expending from that in this budget, but in general, all our long-term health fund is solid. We now have the resources to continue moving forward. And I can't underestimate how important that is, because, it's just a very different environment. And of course, with the arrival of additional funding for transportation and broadband, a continuing economic development program for the region and for the county. So there's just so much be thankful for. And you touched a bit on your expectation around a different round of COVID funding, and anything you want to again just share with us there. It's the idea that we wouldn't have enough funding for the antiviral therapy, that the White House announced a whole program that you get as soon as you get a positive test, you're immediately provided with an antiviral. I mean, that was really strong thinking. The idea that we might not have enough funding to purchase all of those, or additional rounds of vaccinations, as you said, we might need to. We will need more and more rounds of vaccination. We know that immunity wanes, viruses mutate. So. And I also think that it's possible that the county's opportunity to really see a big investment in a federal pandemic prevention center, which we're very excited about that possibility. We've gotten that initiative in a startup phase here in the county in Twin Brook. That also relies on additional federal investment in pandemic prevention. So anything else you'd like to share with us there?
Hans, first of all, thanks for the question, and thanks for your leadership in the county on this issue. We really appreciate it. What COVID-19 has taught us is that it's unpredictable. We just don't know what's going to come next, and we don't want to be caught unprepared. One of the first things that Donald Trump did when he became president was to abolish the council that was aimed at protecting us from the next pandemic, and that meant we were less prepared when we got into it. Of course, he was very slow on the intake, and we were well behind the rest of the world as the pandemic became a global pandemic. As we look forward as to what we need to do moving forward, we do need this pandemic. We do know that the coronavirus is going to be with us for some time. That with the low amount of vaccinations around the world, we're one plane flight away from another outbreak here in the United States. We know that. So we know this is global. So as I said earlier, one of the things we really need to be is much more aggressive globally. Let me be clear. The vaccinations that have been developed by China and Russia are not effective. It's our technology, the Western technology, that is needed to get to the global community. That's going to require U.S. leadership, and that costs money. So we have that international responsibility. And one of the good things about this, we have Republicans who agree with us on this. So we do have some bipartisan support in regards to those areas. The second thing, as I mentioned earlier, are the therapeutic drugs. These therapeutic drugs save lives. If you get them on time, you can minimize the risk factors of serious illness. And it's not just for the unvaccinated. We've been very fortunate with the vaccinated who've had breakouts, that we've been able to keep them basically out of the hospital. But part of that is getting therapeutics into their system to keep them out of the hospital. So the therapeutics are critically important, so we need that. But here's the point that I really want to underscore by your question. You are right. We're going to get another variant. We don't know whether that variant will be receptive to the vaccination or not. So we have to stay ahead of the game in regards to the research. We don't know whether we're going to need a second booster. There's a lot of talk about a second booster. If we need a second booster, we need to have the resources in place for that. Our experience from COVID-19 tell us that we have to have our own supply chain protections for protective equipment, for testing. We were caught unprepared in both. We don't want to be caught again. So we have to increase our own supply chain reliabilities. That costs resources. So this is absolutely essential that we don't lose a beat. And when I tell you the deadline is June, we're right about out of April. That only gives us basically 2 months to make sure that we have the resources, that we don't lose anything. And if we don't have it in by May, the health department is going to have to start taking steps that will make us more vulnerable. And that means if we have another Omicron that spreads quickly, or another Delta that's pretty deadly, that could cause us major problems in the United States. And then the people of this country will ask why we weren't prepared. You heard all the complaints when they couldn't get testing. You're going to hear the same thing. And the truth is that the Biden administration understands that, wants to move forward with that. The Democrats understand that, want to move forward. But once again, our Republican colleagues are very much holding us back on getting what we need. We'll get it done. We're going to win this one. We're going to keep the money flowing. We're going to figure out a way to get it done. And it's going to be less efficient than it would be otherwise, probably more costly to the taxpayers than it would be otherwise, but we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Colleagues, just a reminder, Senator Cardin has a hard stop at 10:30, but we're doing great on time. Next, we've got Councilmember Hucker, followed by Councilmember Katz.
Hey, Senator, so great to see you. Thanks so much for making yourself available. We always appreciate this in the best of times, and especially know how difficult this year has been and everything that's on your plate. So it's really generous of you to make yourself available. As the president said, thanks so much for all your life-saving work last year. When I was serving as council president, I got to see the importance of that really up close. We never would have gotten through 2021 and the current budget without all your help, as well as all the help from Senator Van Hollen and the rest of our House delegation. So especially as the dean of our great delegation, thanks so much for getting us through that year, and for your leadership on the Restaurant Relief Fund. It's glad to hear how you're still focused on that. It's frustrating to hear that there's not more help from the administration, but I hope that moves in the right direction, because it is really important in Montgomery County. And Ken, great to see you as well. You're always such a great help to all of us, and very generous with your time to address all our constituent issues and problems. So thanks so much for being here as well. Two quick questions I think haven't come up. One is the Biden administration announced the U.S. will welcome 100,000 Ukrainian refugees yesterday, and St. Andrew's Cathedral in my district, like the cathedral in Baltimore, has become really a impressive hub for their relief efforts that are all really organic and organized by that community. They've sent 3,000 boxes of relief over to Ukraine and to Poland and Romania as well, and there's more on the way. I've been there a few times and been in touch with our county agencies and the governor's office. Can you talk at all about what you see, what we should be doing here on the ground to help aid that effort? I asked Pastor Stiliak yesterday, he none of us know for sure, but he anticipates at least 10 to 15,000 refugees coming to our area, in the Mid-Atlantic and potentially Maryland alone. So any advice you have on that score, and anyone on your staff we should stay in touch with?
Sure. Tom, thanks for that. And thanks for your work in regards to this humanitarian need. 3 million Ukrainians have left Ukraine. Yeah. 3 million. The largest number in Poland today, increasing dramatically the size of their population. And if I understand correctly, Warsaw is now about 25% higher in population than it was before the invasion. 10 million Ukrainians are displaced. Now these figures, by the way, are a couple of days old, so it might even be higher by now. So this is the largest refugee problem we've had since the end of World War II. It is an absolute humanitarian priority and challenge for all of us to deal with. So we've been extremely active in Congress to try to push the Biden administration as quickly as possible. I don't know if you heard the stories about Ukrainians showing up in our border, getting into Mexico because they didn't need a visa to get into Mexico, knocking on our door and not receiving the welcome that we would want them to receive. We know that some Ukrainians in Europe had requested to come to the United States, and we're told that their appointment with the immigration would be in September, which was totally unacceptable. So we were slow. Look, Trump really poisoned our immigration policies in this country. They were bad to start off with, but he made it. He just poisoned American public opinion and did terrible things. Biden is reversing a lot of that. He's not moving fast enough for me. I would like him to move faster. So I'm a strong Biden supporter. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I'm going to push everywhere I can to get him to move faster on the immigration issues. So we asked him to provide temporary protective status for the Ukrainians that were here in the United States. And Senator Van Hollen and I both personally made calls for that to happen. He did that. So if the Ukrainian is here and their visas have expired, they can stay in the United States under temporary protective status. So we protected those that were here. The truth of the matter is that most Ukrainians do not want to come to the United States. Mm-hmm. They want to go back to Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Their husbands and fathers are there. So they want to go back. So they want to be close proximity. But there are some that have family here that want to come to the United States, and they should be able to get here. And they should have been able to get here well before these last 4 weeks, which has been very difficult for them. So I was very happy to hear the president announce in Europe that we would accept 100,000. So I think that will make it very clear to the immigration people to process them quickly, whether they're in Europe or whether they're in Mexico, to be able to get them into the United States. And yes, we will need homes. We will need the private organizations. And my suggestion is to work with the established immigration groups. In Montgomery County, we have many that are working. I've worked with many on the Afghan refugee issues, and it's really gratifying to see the community open up their hearts, their wallets, and their homes to help the refugee situation. I don't think we'll have a large number, but we will have a significant number. As you said, 10, 15, 20,000 will probably be coming here. That's quite frankly, when you look at how many of the 3 million, I think it's like 2 million in Warsaw, 2 million in Poland, it's going to be a relatively small number we're going to be taking in the United States.
Right. No, absolutely. Although it'll feel like a lot to us, and we have to prepare for it. Thanks. Thanks for. Is there anybody on your staff? Should we stay in touch with Ken or anybody in particular about it?
It's Bill Van Horn who handles these issues in our office, and Tom Melia, who's my foreign policy. Tom is my foreign policy person. Bill is my immigration person.
Perfect. Thank you. And I always often ask you about drinking water. Thanks for all your work on that. That's been a slow rolling crisis in the country that you've been more of a leader to address than anybody in the Congress, I think. But you've made money available for that the lead pipe replacement this year, and the state revolving funds that I believe WSS is it? Am I correct that WSSC can take advantage of both of those programs?
You're absolutely right. We have a significant increase in the revolving funds. Right. We have a significant increase in lead, and there's resiliency. We have more money in that, and we have more money in some of the specialized programs. So we do have significant increases of funds for the water infrastructure. And as I said, we're also going to be looking at the directed funding for some water projects. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I thank you for saying that. Those end up going to the Transportation Environment Committee that I chaired with my colleagues, and we always ask about the pressure on their operating budget, the CIP, the spending affordability guidelines as well, and whether they're taking advantage of federal programs. I know they were under the impression that some of those weren't available to them and to just municipal utilities rather than bi-county ones.
No, we want to make sure regions can qualify, so we're working with you on that.
Terrific.
Mr. President, I have as much time as Sid wants for his question. Don't worry about the time.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to take away immediate past present. Yes, for me.
Thank you so much. With that introduction, oh my goodness, Councilmember Katz.
Well, and since there is no filibuster role, Senator, I'm only kidding. First off, thank you so very, very much. As all of my colleagues have mentioned, we are truly proud to have you and Senator Van Hollen represent us. And as much as I like to tease Kenny Reichert, and I do, that's one of my great pleasures in life, he does do a wonderful job. And I'm not joking about that. And please say hello to Myrna, of course, as well. We all look forward to seeing both you and her in person, hopefully at an event very, very soon. You touched on, and I don't know how much deeper you could actually go on the topic, but the lifeblood of America is a small business. And you certainly, you're probably perhaps the champion of small business for America. And that's quite a title, because that truly is the American dream, the how someone gets to that better place in their life. But I know that you've worked on the deferment period for the economic injury disaster loans, the Progressive Consumption Tax Act. Is there anything else that you think is going to be on the horizon that will actually continue to help their small businesses, not only to continue, but to actually grow?
Yes, Sid, thanks for that question. I really appreciate it. I chair the Small Business Committee, so it's my priority. Just so you are aware, the statistics from the Small Business Administration have not been particularly impressive in reaching women-owned small businesses, in reaching minority-owned small businesses, in reaching the smaller of the small businesses. It just hasn't been impressive. And the reason it hasn't been impressive is that the largest single program, the 7A loan program, which is guaranteed by these are loans that are made by commercial banks, guaranteed by the federal government, so there's no risk factor for the bank. Banks will first prioritize existing customers. Secondly, they like larger businesses so they can make larger loans. They make more profit off of one large loan than two smaller loans that equal the same amount. So there's a natural bias against the younger small businesses and the smaller small businesses. And we have not been able to penetrate that. So when we went into the COVID-19 recovery, the Paycheck Protection Program, the first round, the distribution issues were terrible. The banks that the larger or the small, small business can be 499 employees. They can be nice-sized companies. They were the ones front in line. And the mom and pop and the smaller small businesses were last in line, and they got shut out of the original amount. And of course, the Trump administration was not sensitive to this at all. And I say that because Senator Shaheen and I put into the PPP program a requirement that the SBA reach out to underserved, underbanked communities, and the Inspector General's report said they didn't comply with that requirement. So when Biden became president, and I became chairman of the committee rather than ranking on the committee, we made that our priority. And when you look at the second round of Paycheck Protection Programs, the demographics of who got those funds reflect the demographics of our small business community. So we were able, through requiring certain funds go through community development financial institutions, CDFIs, minority depository institutions, we were able to get money into the underserved communities. And as part of the Infrastructure Act, I was able to codify the Minority Business Development Agency, which also helps minority small businesses. So we were able to target those funds in a much stronger way. And that's been a priority. The Biden administration, it's been my priority. So if we get the reconciliation bill done, this is not controversial. This has been in every draft. We're going to have, for the first time, direct loans by the Small Business Administration. So therefore, they can get into the areas which are underbanked and make sure that the mom and pop businesses have a chance. We're going to have an uplift program, which is the one bill that I sponsored, so that we will have the SBA partnering with minority institutions to establish startup companies in minority communities so that they can get the venture capital. Right now, venture capital is plentiful. I was talking again to Jay Powell. He tells me there's lots of money available for venture capital, but they don't go to minority businesses. They get basically zero in venture capital. It's less than 1%. So we need to get a fair way. And then it's a matter of fairness, yes, but it's a matter of the growth of our economy. We need small businesses are innovators. They figure out better ways to do things. And we can't afford to lose any of the creativity if we're going to be competitive in the future. So we are laser focused on those issues. And I'm a big fan of Isabel Guzman, the administrator of the Small Business Administration. I think she's doing a great job. And we are going to make continued progress to reach out to help small businesses. And that's part of our effort to revitalize the fund, to put the money we need into it, and to look at what we can do moving forward to help small businesses. But again, we're going to help all small businesses, but we want to really target it to those who need the federal government's help in order to get going, to be able to, they can't handle all the bureaucracy. I also serve on the finance committee. We are looking, and Ron Wyden's helped me on this, how we can change the tax code to help small businesses. They don't benefit from the C rate. They almost all pay the individual tax rate. How can we change the tax code to be friendly to small businesses?
Thank you very much, Senator. Once again, we are proud to have you represent us and proud that you're with us today. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. President. Mr. President, I turn it back to you.
Thank you so much again, Senator. This was such a robust and wide-ranging conversation. We continue to appreciate your leadership. We certainly have your back, and we know you have ours. Thank you. And if there's anything we can do to be of assistance, Kenny knows where to find us. He knows where most of us live. And so thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. And again, thanks for everything you're doing for the people. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
You too. Thank you, Senator.
But also with income, sexual or gender